You are about to discover something that has been deliberately hidden from you your entire life. Something so powerful that entire institutions have been built to keep it from reaching your awareness. Make sure you watch until the very end, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter everything you thought you knew about your own capabilities. This isn't just another self-help technique or meditation practice. This is a forbidden method that was once taught only in the most secretive circles, passed down through whispers between master and student, hidden away from those who would use this knowledge to control rather than liberate. If you're here right now watching this, it's not by chance. Something deep within you has been calling out, searching for this exact moment. You've felt it, haven't you? That nagging sensation that there's so much more to reality than what meets the eye. That feeling that you're only seeing a fraction of what's actually there. You're absolutely right. And today, that changes forever. For thousands of years, certain groups have guarded this knowledge like treasure in a vault. They understood its power. They knew that if this technique became widespread, it would fundamentally shift the balance of power in our world. Because when you can see beyond the veil of ordinary perception, when you can access what the ancients called divine vision, you become impossible to manipulate, impossible to deceive, and impossible to control. Do you remember the last time you had a dream so vivid it felt more real than waking life? Or that moment when you looked into someone's eyes and saw straight through to their soul? What about those times when you knew something was about to happen seconds before it did, with a certainty that defied explanation? You weren't imagining any of it. You were catching glimpses of your divine vision trying to activate itself. Like a radio picking up distant signals, you were tuning into frequencies that most people never even know exist. But here's what they don't want you to understand. This isn't a special gift reserved for a chosen few. This is your birthright. Every human being born into this world carries this dormant ability within them. It's like having a Ferrari in your garage, but only using it as decoration because no one ever told you where the keys were hidden. Today, I'm giving you those keys. Before we dive into the technique itself, you need to understand why this knowledge was hidden in the first place. Throughout history, there have always been those who understood that knowledge is power, real power. Not the kind that comes from money or political position, but the kind that comes from seeing reality as it truly is. Imagine for a moment that you're watching a magic show. The magician performs impossible feats right before your eyes, and you're amazed because you can't see how it's done. But what if you could see the hidden strings, the secret mirrors, the sleight of hand? Suddenly the magician has no power over you. The illusion is broken. Now imagine that your entire life has been that magic show, and the magicians don't want you to see behind the curtain. When someone develops divine vision, they begin to perceive the invisible currents that shape our world. They see through deception with crystal clarity. They recognize truth from falsehood instantly. They become immune to manipulation because they can see the puppet strings that most people never notice. This is why this knowledge was restricted to secret societies, mystery schools, and hidden temples. Not because it was dangerous in itself, but because it was dangerous to those who profit from keeping humanity in the dark. But something is shifting in our world right now. Can you feel it? Like a great awakening beginning to stir in the collective consciousness of humanity. More and more people are starting to question everything they've been told. They're beginning to sense that there are deeper layers to reality waiting to be discovered. You're part of this awakening, and the technique I'm about to share with you is your key to joining the ranks of those who see clearly in a world of illusions. Let me ask you something. Right now, as you're watching this, how much of reality do you think you're actually perceiving? If you're like most people, you probably assume you're seeing pretty much everything that's there to see. But here's a startling fact. Scientists estimate that we're only consciously aware of about 5% of the information our senses are constantly collecting. That means 95% of reality is happening right in front of you right now, and you're completely unaware of it. Think about that for a moment. 95% of everything that's actually occurring around you is invisible to your normal conscious awareness. It's like living your entire life looking through a keyhole and thinking you're seeing the whole room. Divine vision is what happens when you finally open open the door. But it's not just about seeing more of the physical world. Divine vision operates on multiple levels simultaneously. It's the ability to perceive the invisible connections between all things, to see the patterns that govern reality, to glimpse the future threads of possibility before they manifest into the present moment. Have you ever met someone and instantly knew whether you could trust them before they even spoke a word? That's divine vision activating at the most basic level. You are reading energy fields, seeing beyond the mask of personality to the essence underneath. Or perhaps you've walked into a room and immediately felt the tension there, even though everyone was smiling and acting normal. You were perceiving the emotional and energetic undercurrents that most people remain blind to. These aren't supernatural abilities. They're natural functions of human consciousness that have been systematically suppressed and forgotten. Like muscles that have atrophied from disuse, your divine vision capabilities are still there, waiting to be reactivated. The ancients knew this. In every culture, in every era, there have been those who understood how to see beyond the ordinary. They were called seers, prophets, oracles, shamans, mystics, but they weren't different from you. They simply knew the technique. The forbidden technique I'm about to teach you is built upon what the ancient masters called the three gates of perception. Think of these as locks that must be opened in sequence to access the full spectrum of divine vision. Most people spend their entire lives with all three gates firmly closed, living in a narrow bandwidth of awareness that keeps them trapped in surface-level reality. But when you learn to open these gates systematically, you gain access to dimensions of perception that will transform everything about how you experience existence. Right now, your mind is like a radio with terrible reception, filled with static and interference. This mental noise isn't just random chatter. It's been deliberately amplified by the constant bombardment of distractions in our modern world. Social media, news, entertainment, even the way we're taught to think from childhood, it all serves to keep your mind fragmented and scattered. The first gate requires learning to cut through this mental static and find the silence that exists beneath all the noise. But this isn't the dead silence of an empty room. This is the pregnant silence of deep space, where infinite possibilities exist in potential. When you master the first gate, something extraordinary happens. The constant chatter of your thinking mind begins to quiet, and you start to notice subtler frequencies of awareness that were always there but drowned out by the noise. It's like finally being able to hear the whispered conversations happening in a crowded restaurant. Once you tune in, you wonder how you ever missed them. Your physical senses are far more powerful than you've been led to believe. Right now, you're only using a fraction of their true capacity. The second gate involves learning to expand your sensory boundaries beyond their normal limitations. Think about your peripheral vision. Right now, without moving your eyes, you can sense movement and shapes at the edges of your visual field. But with the right training, you can expand this peripheral awareness to encompass not just visual information, but emotional, energetic, and even intuitive data. Have you ever felt like someone was staring at you, only to turn around and discover you were right? That's your expanded sensory field, picking up information that your normal awareness filters out. The second gate teaches you to access this expanded field at will, dramatically increasing the amount of reality you can perceive simultaneously. When you master the second gate, you'll begin to sense the invisible fields of energy that surround all living things. You'll feel the emotional states of people before they speak. You'll detect the subtle signs that reveal when someone is being truthful or deceptive. You'll start to perceive the web of connections that link all things together. The third gate is the most profound and the most closely guarded of all. This is where you gain access to what the mystics called prophetic sight, the ability to perceive not just what is, but what is becoming. Reality isn't fixed the way most people think it is. At the quantum level, physicists have discovered that the future exists as a field of probabilities that don't collapse into definite outcomes until they're observed. The third gate gives you access to this probability field, allowing you to see the most likely future outcomes before they manifest. This isn't about predicting specific events with perfect accuracy. It's about developing the ability to sense the deeper currents of change that are always flowing beneath the surface of apparent reality. You'll begin to anticipate trends, recognize opportunities, and avoid dangers with an almost supernatural timing. When all three gates are open simultaneously, you achieve what the ancients called divine vision, a state of expanded awareness where you can perceive reality as it truly is, stripped of all illusions and deceptions. Now we come to the heart of the matter, the actual technique that has been kept hidden for so long. This method was developed over centuries of experimentation by those who dedicated their lives to understanding the deepest mysteries of human consciousness. It's called the Trifold Awakening Protocol, and it's designed to open all three gates of perception in a specific sequence that maximizes your safety while accelerating your progress. But before I share this with you, I need you to understand something crucial. This technique is powerful. Once you begin practicing it regularly, there's no going back to your previous level of awareness. You will see things that others cannot see. You will know things that others do not know. And this can be both a gift and a burden. Are you ready for that level of responsibility? Because with divine vision comes the obligation to use what you see wisely. If you're certain you're ready, then let's begin. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed for at least 20 minutes. Sit comfortably with your spine straight but not rigid. This position is crucial because it allows energy to flow freely through your body while maintaining alertness. Close your eyes and begin to observe your thoughts without engaging with them. Imagine you're sitting by a river, watching leaves float past on the current. Each thought is just another leaf. You don't need to grab them or analyze them, just watch them drift by. Now here's the key that most meditation teachings don't reveal. Instead of trying to stop your thoughts, you're going to count them. Every time a thought arises, simply count it, 1, 2, 3, and let it pass. This paradoxical approach actually accelerates the quieting process because you're not fighting against your mind's natural tendency to think. Continue this for exactly 7 minutes. Why 7? Because this corresponds to the natural rhythm of brainwave cycles that facilitate the opening of the first gate. As you practice this technique, you'll notice something remarkable beginning to happen. The spaces between your thoughts will start to expand. These gaps of silence are not empty. They're filled with a pregnant awareness that contains infinite potential. This is the silence behind all sound, the stillness that exists at the center of all movement. Now that you've opened the first gate and established inner silence, you're ready to expand your sensory boundaries. Keep your eyes closed and begin to gradually extend your awareness beyond the boundaries of your physical body. Start by feeling the space immediately around your skin. Can you sense the air touching your face, your hands, your arms? Don't strain or force this. Just gently invite your awareness to expand outward like ripples on a pond. Now extend that awareness to fill the entire room you're in. Feel the walls, the furniture, the corners where shadows gather. You're not trying to see these things with your physical eyes. You're developing what the ancients called the inner eye, a faculty of perception that operates through feeling and knowing rather than ordinary sight. Gradually expand your awareness even further. Can you sense what's happening in the rooms adjacent to where you're sitting? What about outside your building? Don't worry if you don't perceive anything clearly at first. This is like developing a new sense organ. It takes time and practice. The key is to maintain that inner silence you established in phase 1 while simultaneously expanding your sensory field. This dual awareness, silence within, expansion without, is what opens the second gate. As you practice this regularly, you begin to perceive subtle energies, emotional atmospheres, and even the thoughts and intentions of people within your expanded field of awareness. You're essentially developing the ability to see without eyes, to hear without ears, to know without thinking. With the first 2 gates open, you're now ready for the most advanced phase of the technique. This is where you access the probability field and begin to perceive potential futures. Maintaining both your inner silence and your expanded awareness, now turn your attention to time itself. Most people experience time as a straight line moving from past to present to future, but in the state you've now achieved, time becomes more fluid. Begin by sensing not just the present moment, but the immediate future, the next few minutes, what is likely to happen Don't try to force specific visions or predictions. Instead, open yourself to impressions, feelings, subtle knowings that arise spontaneously. You might sense that someone is about to call you, or that a particular song is about to play on the radio, or that you're going to encounter a specific person when you leave your practice space. These aren't dramatic prophecies, they're gentle awarenesses of the natural flow of probability. As you develop this ability, you can extend your temporal perception further into the future. Some practitioners eventually learn to sense trends and changes weeks, months, or even years in advance. But always remember, you're not seeing a fixed future. You're perceiving the most probable outcomes based on current trajectories. This is the opening of the third gate, the activation of prophetic sight that allows you to navigate reality with divine guidance. Here's something that none of the ancient texts adequately prepare you for: the challenge of integration. When you begin to perceive reality through divine vision, you'll face the difficult task of living in two worlds simultaneously. On one hand, you'll have access to expanded perceptions that reveal the deeper truth of situations. You'll see through deceptions, sense hidden motivations, and perceive the probable outcomes of various choices before they manifest. On the other hand, you'll still need to function in a world where most people operate from a much more limited level of awareness. They won't see what you see. They won't understand your insights, and if you're not careful, they may even think you've lost touch with reality. This is why discretion becomes so important. The wise practitioner learns to use their divine vision quietly, allowing it to guide their decisions and actions without necessarily explaining to others what they're seeing. It's like having a secret advisor that only you can hear. You'll also need to develop what I call discernment protocols. Not everything you perceive through divine vision will be equally important or actionable. You'll learn to distinguish between impressions that require immediate attention and background awareness. That's simply part of your expanded perceptual field. Some days, the amount of information you're receiving may feel overwhelming. This is normal and temporary. Your consciousness will gradually adapt to processing larger amounts of data without strain. It's like moving from a small apartment to a mansion. At first, all the extra space feels strange, but eventually you wonder how you ever lived in such cramped conditions. As you develop divine vision, you will inevitably encounter what the mystics called the guardians of the threshold. These are not external entities, but rather aspects of your own psyche that will test your readiness to handle expanded perception. The first guardian you'll meet is doubt. Not ordinary skepticism, but a profound questioning of your own sanity. When you begin to perceive things that others cannot see, part of your mind will insist that you must be deluding yourself. This doubt serves a purpose. It prevents you from becoming disconnected from consensus reality. The key is to acknowledge the doubt without letting it stop your progress. The second guardian is fear. As your perception expands, you may begin to see aspects of reality that are uncomfortable or disturbing. You might perceive negative emotions in people who appear happy, or sense upcoming challenges before they manifest. This expanded awareness can be frightening because it strips away the comfortable illusions that most people use to navigate life. Remember that seeing clearly is always better than living in ignorance, even when the truth is uncomfortable. The third guardian is spiritual pride. As your abilities develop, you may begin to feel superior to those who remain unaware. This is a dangerous trap that has derailed many practitioners throughout history. True divine vision includes the humility to recognize that everyone is exactly where they need to be in their own journey of awakening. The final guardian is the temptation to misuse your abilities. When you can see what others cannot, when you can sense their hidden thoughts and motivations, when you can glimpse probable futures, the temptation to use these abilities for personal gain or to manipulate others can be strong. This is why this knowledge was traditionally kept secret, not because it was inherently dangerous, but because it required a high level of ethical development to handle responsibly. Each of these guardians will appear multiple times throughout your journey, presenting increasingly subtle tests. They are not obstacles to overcome, but teachers to learn from. Each successful encounter with a guardian deepens your wisdom and strengthens your ability to handle greater levels of perception. Divine vision doesn't develop overnight. Like any profound skill, it unfolds through distinct stages, each with its own characteristics and challenges. In the first stage, you'll experience what I call flash glimpses, brief moments where your divine vision activates spontaneously. You might suddenly know who's calling before you look at your phone, or sense that a particular route to work should be avoided. These experiences are often dismissed as coincidence by those who don't understand what's happening. The key during this stage is recognition and validation. Start keeping a record of these experiences. Note when you have an intuitive hit and whether it turns out to be accurate. You'll be amazed at how often your expanded perception is correct, even when it contradicts your logical mind. As you continue practicing the Trifold Awakening protocol, your divine vision will begin to stabilize. Instead of random flashes, you'll be able to access expanded perception more consistently. This is when you can begin to rely on your inner guidance for important decisions. During this stage, you'll also begin to notice that different types of perception become available to you. Some days you might be particularly good at reading people's emotional states. Other days, your ability to sense future probabilities might be enhanced. Learn to recognize these natural cycles and work with them rather than against them. In the third stage, divine vision becomes a natural part of your everyday consciousness. You no longer need to set aside special time to access it. It's simply there, like an additional sense that provides constant background information about your environment. This is when you truly begin to live in both worlds simultaneously. You can hold normal conversations while simultaneously perceiving the deeper currents of meaning beneath the words. You can go about your daily activities while remaining tuned in to the subtle guidance that flows from expanded awareness. The final stage is true mastery, where divine vision becomes as natural as breathing. At this level, you can consciously adjust the intensity and focus of your perception based on what's needed in any given situation. You can dial up your future sensing ability when making important decisions, or enhance your people reading skills during crucial conversations. Masters at this level often develop specialized abilities that align with their particular nature and life purpose. Some become extraordinary healers who can see the energetic roots of illness. Others develop prophetic abilities that allow them to guide communities through difficult transitions. Still others become teachers who can perceive exactly what each student needs to hear to accelerate their own awakening. The ripple effect. Here's something beautiful that happens as you develop divine vision. It doesn't just change you, it begins to awaken others around you. Consciousness is contagious. When you operate from a place of expanded awareness, it gives others permission to explore their own hidden capabilities. You might notice that people start opening up to you more, sharing deeper truths about their lives, or they might begin asking you for advice, sensing intuitively that you can see things they cannot. Some people will be drawn to you without understanding why, while others might feel uncomfortable around you because your clarity threatens their carefully constructed illusions. This ripple effect is one of the reasons why this knowledge was kept hidden. Those in power understood that if enough people developed divine vision, it would become impossible to maintain systems based on deception and manipulation. A population with clear sight cannot be easily controlled. But this is also why the timing is perfect for this knowledge to emerge now. We're living in an age where the old systems of control are beginning to crumble, and humanity is ready for a new level of consciousness. Your development of divine vision is part of this larger awakening that's happening across our planet. As your divine vision stabilizes and deepens, you'll find that your entire approach to life begins to transform. Decisions that once seemed complicated become clear. Relationships that were confusing start to make sense. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly become obvious. You'll develop what I call sacred timing, an intuitive sense of when to act and when to wait. This isn't about becoming passive or indecisive. It's about moving in harmony with the natural rhythms of change and manifestation that govern reality. Your relationships will also evolve as you learn to see people as they truly are, beyond their masks and personas. This can be challenging at first, especially when you perceive that someone you care about is not being authentic. But it also opens the door to much deeper connections based on truth rather than illusion. You'll find yourself naturally gravitating toward others who are also awakening to their own expanded capabilities. These connections often feel instantaneous and profound, as if you're recognizing old friends even when you're meeting for the first time. Your professional life may also shift as you begin to make choices based on deeper purpose rather than just external success. Many people who develop divine vision find themselves drawn to work that serves the awakening of consciousness in others, whether through teaching, healing, counseling, or creative expression. Now I'm going to share with you the ultimate secret that the guardians of this knowledge never wanted you to discover. The reason divine vision was hidden isn't just because it makes you impossible to control. It's because once enough people develop this level of perception, it literally changes the nature of reality itself. Reality is not as fixed as most people believe. It's actually quite malleable, responding to the collective consciousness of those who observe it. When most people are operating from limited awareness, reality remains dense and resistant to change. But when significant numbers of people begin to perceive reality from the expanded perspective of divine vision, new possibilities become available that were literally impossible before. This is why ancient prophecies spoke of a time when the veils would be lifted and humanity would awaken to its true nature. We're living in that time right now. Every person who develops divine vision contributes to a morphic field of expanded consciousness that makes it easier for others to awaken. You're not just developing a personal ability, you're participating in the transformation of human consciousness itself. You're helping to birth a new reality where deception becomes impossible, where truth is immediately recognizable, and where the full potential of human consciousness can finally be expressed. The technique I've shared with you today is just the beginning. Like any powerful tool, it becomes more effective the more you use it. Start with just 15 minutes a day of the Trifold Awakening Protocol. Be consistent rather than trying to do long sessions sporadically. Keep a journal of your experiences. Note not just the dramatic moments, but also the subtle shifts in your perception and understanding. You'll be amazed at how quickly your abilities develop when you pay attention to them and give them room to grow. Most importantly, remember that this journey is not about becoming special or superior to others. It's about returning to your natural state of consciousness, the way humans were designed to perceive reality before centuries of conditioning taught us to limit our awareness. You are not learning something new, you are remembering something ancient. You are not gaining supernatural powers, you are reclaiming your birthright as a conscious being capable of perceiving the full spectrum of reality. The forbidden technique is no longer forbidden. The secret knowledge is secret no more. The time of awakening has arrived and you are part of it. Begin today. Begin now. Your divine vision awaits. If this has opened new possibilities for you, if you're ready to dive deeper into the mysteries of consciousness and perception, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We have so much more to explore together on this journey of awakening. The next video will reveal the advanced techniques that take divine vision to levels most people can barely imagine. The door is open. Will you walk through it?